Butch had surgery, so he's not going to be able to make it here tonight. Danny's on his way. He should be here shortly. Oh, here's the paper here.
Just two resumes.
Oh, that's right.
Mine is everything's falling out. Like,
At the next meeting, I just didn't,
Yeah.
I kind of lost track of it, and so.
So that's all you
we
have.
had ours direct at one time.
All right, everybody, the mayor really doesn't have any communications other than the acceptance of the resignation letters from Alex on certain committees. That being said, Plante Moran is here to give us our audit, and they are number 10, but we're going to go ahead and start with their presentation first. So, you guys would like to come up?
All right. Okay, if I sit here for just a moment?
Absolutely. Well, these other seats are available too if they want.
All right, I'll do that. Thank you.
You're weaker than the others, so.
I can take a hit. Yes, I feel low to the table. All right. Yeah, a little bit. Chairman Woolley, congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
And fellow council members, Mayor Sellers, thank you for allowing us to come tonight on January 2nd, right after the holidays, to present the results of the financial statement audit for the year ended June 30th, 2016, 2018. I have with me a couple familiar faces, Carrie Shea and Nikki H.O., who's over in the corner there. They're going to help with the presentation tonight. Both of them have been involved with the City of Taylor Audit for a number of years now, know the systems and processes well, and they were very instrumental in helping get the audit completed this year. Before I get started, though, I did want to thank the various department heads and their teams for their involvement in this year's audit. We're out here for quite a while to get the audit done. It's a big city. There's a lot of things to get audited at the city. And I know that the involvement that they have in the audit is really kind of on top of their day jobs. And so I want to thank certainly the mayor's office, so thank you, Mayor, and your team. The finance department, Jason and Sue in particular, but their respective teams are also very active. Clerk's office, so thank you. Appreciate it. HR, we spent a lot of time with HR this year. We were kind of kidding about it because each year we're required to have a different surprise procedure as part of the audit. And this year there were some things we were taking a look at related to payroll. And so we kept Sheila quite busy with that. We got through that in the end, and it worked out. So thanks, because I know that was additional time this year. We do get involved with the police. We get involved with the water and sewer, the court, the judges, and the court administrators. So there's a lot of different people that get involved in the audit. So I wanted to formally thank them while we're here. In your packet, there should be a number of deliverables that are a result of the audit. There's the financial statement itself, which we're going to cover when we go through the graphs tonight, kind of at a high level. In addition to that, there is what we refer to at the end of audit letter, which is this document here, and Carrie's going to cover some of the content of that letter. In addition to that, we do a separate audit of the federal grant dollars that the city receives. And as a result of that, there's a separate audit report related to that compliance audit. And we did have no findings in this year's compliance audit related to your federal dollars, but there is a separate report that's issued with respect to that. We also have a separate audit report for the district court. We do cover that with the court administrator and the judges. We weren't going to go through that tonight, but that audit was a clean audit as well. So with that, I was going to just cover the first page of the graph package. Make sure you could click that slide if you would. Thank you. And cover a few financial highlights. I was going to turn it over to Nikki. She was going to cover the remaining graphs, and then Carrie was going to walk through the content of the letter. So first and foremost, I think it's important that the very first item on here, which is a little bit of accounting jargon, but you received what's referred to as an unmodified opinion on your financial statements. That is the highest form of assurance that you can receive from a third-party auditing firm. And what it says is that the numbers and the disclosures in your statement are materially correct. And so that's what you're looking for. That's what the bond agencies take a look at to see what type of opinion you have. So this year was a very clean audit. We had very minimal journal entries. And so I want to thank Jason and his team. I think they did a good job in being ready for us and having things in good shape. A couple highlights from the statements themselves. So this year you added about $1.3 million to your unassigned fund balance. Last year there was a decline in fund balance of about 1.6. And so year over year, that amount is about a net, but it's favorable improvement. And then I'll talk a little bit about sustainability in a minute, but you're heading in the right direction there. And that's for the unassigned fund balance, the 1.3. The unassigned fund balance represents about 20% of your annual expenditures in the general fund. And so many communities have a range of what they target for what that fund balance represents. Some communities actually have a goal, a stated goal of what they're trying to achieve with their fund balance. At your 20%, you fall in the range. We usually recommend somewhere between 50 and 30% for unassigned fund balance, and you're at 20% right now. And so you're within that range, and so you're in a good spot there. And I would really think it would be important to continue to start to move that up the chain a little bit because of some things we'll talk about in a minute. Another highlight for the year, you spent over $14 million in your infrastructure. It's important that you continue to reinvest in the city, both in the facilities, the roads, and so this year that number was about $14 million. Nikki has 2 slides she's going to cover that will give you a little bit more context on that number. So it looks like a big number, but when you look at that compared to your annual depreciation, there'll be some relevance there related to that $14 million. You did pay down debt this year, so a net amount of $11 million in debt was paid down, and so with minimal additional debt added for this fiscal year, so I think that's a good accomplishment. Your pension liabilities decreased slightly. You can see what the funding percentages were for the general employee, police and fire, and MERS at 51, 66, and 75. A year ago, those were at 47, 54, and 73. Just to give you some relevance. So those went up. Part of that is due to the markets, at least for the year ended, for those plans was pretty strong. And so you had some favorable market fluctuations there that helped with that funding percentage. Another big item this year that was new that we've talked about previously is that now all the legacy liabilities for the city are reported on the city's balance sheet. The last one really to go on there was the OPEB liability. And so now that full liability is on the city's books in the statement of net position, and that number is about $293 million, which has been estimated by the actuary. And that's an unfunded obligation. So that's a big item that's out there that will continue to need to get attention going forward. And even the state now will require some communications around any unfunded liabilities that are above certain thresholds, and this certainly would qualify for that. So I'm going to stop there, and if there's no questions, I was going to have Nikki walk through the next set of graphs.
I guess I got one quick
Yes.
one. You know, you're talking about the $293 million.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be more of a federal? Why is the state being involved in that?
Well, each year, all communities within the state, one, have to be audited, and two, have to report the results to the state.
Okay.
And so the state is interested in what the funding levels are for legacy liabilities for both pension and for retiree health care. And if you're not above certain thresholds, they want the communities to develop a plan of how they're going to whittle that liability down over time. For you, that's a big number that's out there, so it's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
It didn't get built up overnight either. So that plan is put in place, and I know Jason, in January you'll report to the state in terms of what that plan is.
Oh, we actually filed it already.
It's filed, okay.
Filed it, yeah. We, just for relevance, council approved it at the last meeting, all the PA 202 plans.
And so that is at the state level, and they're the ones who monitor the local communities' fiscal situations.
The part that would be federal, to your point, or more of a national level, is the GASB is the one that requires you to record it. So that is a national level accounting requirement.
Gotcha.
So the graph package is really used to give a high-level overview of the financial statements, so we're not going through all 100 pages, but if you have any specific questions from the pages, go through them. So if you look at slide 2, this graph shows the general fund revenue for the past 4 years. In total, revenue increased about $4.7 million from prior year. 3 categories that I just wanted to point out that had the most significant change. Charges for services was up about $1.3 million, primarily due to ALS revenue. Core fines and fees increased about $2.1 million from prior year, and that increase in the other income is contributed to is from the